Gaming and BS, episode 261, being recorded Monday, September 23rd, 2019. Welcome to Gaming and BS, a tabletop RPG podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sean.
And I'm Brett. I'm the other guy. Glad you're all here. Hope you all had a good time since we chatted at you last. Sean, how the hell are you?
Doing fantastic. How are you, Brett?
Pretty good. Get any gaming in since we last chatted?
So, I
Tell me you've got some Jeff outtakes.
woke up Saturday morning.
I
made my way down to my basement.
Yeah.
No,
I like where this is going.
I was kind of hanging out, doing my thing.
And
Phone rang, but it's my Google Voice number. I'm like, Google Voice number.
yeah, who calls me on that?
I'll check it in a second. Goes on a little bit longer. Better check my text messages. Actually, I didn't even check my text messages. My wife wakes up relatively early for her. Which is like 11 o'clock.
All right, on Saturday.
Yeah, she goes, hey, Vicky called me. Why is she calling me?
Who's Vicky?
Vicky's Jeff's spouse.
Oh, okay. I forgot. Thank you.
And then I said, I better look at my phone. And there's a text message like, hey, where are you, bro? Is everything okay?
You were supposed to run a game on Saturday. You slept through your own game.
I didn't even sleep. I was awake, like hanging out in my basement, doing whatever the hell I felt like it.
Oh, and we blame the players.
Wow. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe
Wow.
I don't even know what to say.
That's something. That's something right there, Sean.
I felt like a complete schmuck. And then I had to tell my wife, like, hey,
you know what I need to be
go
right
over
now?
to Jeff's because I have like 5 people waiting for me to run a game.
And yeah, I'm kind of a dick right now.
I thought it was
'cause I'm not
next
there.
weekend.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I have a game this coming Saturday. Actually, Friday and Saturday up on my home group. This last weekend, AJ ran the next part of his Crypts and Creatures campaign for my daughter Ilana and I. Got pretty far into it, which was fun. He had this spot. He was super excited for us to meet this wizard. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Telgrak or whatever. I can't remember the guy. It starts with a T. Anyway, we're going to meet this wizard. We go through this process, and the guards are being kind of annoying. We're being arrogant adventurers. You know why we're here, blah, blah, blah. And we hear the booming voice and the stomping on the stairs. We're like, fine. It's a goddamn dragon. Ilana and I looked at each other and we're like, AJ, it's a dragon? He goes, yeah, it's the greatest sorcerer in the entire world. Oh, okay then. We'll start behaving. Because we were a little, Ilana and I, daddy-daughter time was a little bit off the rails. We're kind of chewing on AJ a little bit, giving him some shit. Boy, he put the smack down on us right fucking now. Huge ancient silver dragon glaring at us because we are rude and in his house. That gets your attention, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Yeah. Whew. But he did well. He controlled us quite nicely after that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it was good. It was a damn good game. So did the players lynch you when you showed up? Is that what that scar on your neck is? Or did they just light you on fire? Or what happened?
No, everything was fine after that.
Heckled you soundly?
I told Andy, I said, well, we didn't lose any gaming. Because usually when I show up at 10,
there's an hour and a half of bullshittery.
We shoot the shit for 2 hours and then nothing, we don't start the actual game for about 2 hours. So when I got there, it was pretty easy to get started.
Yeah, my buddy Lenny's like, hey, I can't make it to the game on Saturday till like 4 or 5. I'm like, that's fine. Even if I showed up at 2, we're not going to get started till 4 or 5. You'll be right in the sweet spot, buddy.
Yeah, I did record Jeff for about 5 hours worth. And he's got some prime
You, my friend, have audio gold. That's what you've
I
got.
do. Now I just have to filter out the bits.
Well, other than Gamehole Con coming up like in a month, holy crap.
Well, hey, speaking of Gamehole Con,
What about Gamehole Con? It's
on
going to be a fun time.
October 31st.
That's right. My kids will be there. They're going to have a good time. We are on the trick or treat line. You remember that, right?
I know.
My wife is going out and buying candy. I think she actually got some special trick or treat stuff for adults. I'm not sure if she did or not. Similar to the first one we had,
right?
Small little samplers. We'll see. We'll see if that works out. But anyway,
I've spoken to neighbors of Mr. Kammer.
Oh, yeah.
Actual physical neighbors.
Yes.
They usually get like $200 worth of candy.
Holy shit.
But that's in a neighborhood that gets pretty a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah, they get hammered pretty good. We don't. Where I live, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I guess you just buy as much candy, and once it's gone, and then they can egg our booth.
Yeah, which is, I think that's what half our listeners do.
Right.
Kidding.
So, but it being Halloween, I have brought up the costume thing to Brett.
Oh, yeah. What are you going as?
I'm going to go as the dude.
That sounds awesome. You'll enjoy that.
And I thought Brett should go as Walter.
And what did Brett respond?
Brett, I don't really.
It's not
here,
my-
let me sound just like Brett.
Uh-huh.
Let me
Go for
sound
it.
just
Try
like
it.
Brett.
Try it.
Let me. Oh, actually, here I've got my phone right in front of me. Let me just see what the text message from Brett actually says.
I think it says something polite.
Hold on. Let me find that info. Quick. Here we go.
Not sure. Costume party / Halloween dress up aren't my thing.
I'm going to go as the dude for Halloween. You should totally be Walter. And I sent him the DVD cover of The Big Lebowski.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I'm not that fat. And I'm like, you could totally pull that off. Shooting glasses. Brett says, maybe. I'm not big. Here, I'll do it in the Brett voice. I'm not big on dressing up.
Yeah, I sound like Cartman. That's what I sound like.
Everybody that I imitate sounds like Cartman because that's
the
my
only
hearing.
voice you got. I got it. All right.
Yeah. And I said vest, easy, trim beard.
Brett responds with, not sure. Costume party / Halloween dress up aren't my thing.
Yeah, and now in Sean's head, it sounded like this. I'm not sure. Costume party / Halloween dress up aren't my thing.
Yeah, so I don't like doing that stuff. And he threatened to call Susan. He's like, I'll just text Susan. I'm like, good luck with that. Good luck.
I said it would be hilarious. I go, it would be hilarious.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going out as a creature, right?
We'll see.
Don't know. I'll think about it. Okay, that's Brett. What I heard and read in my head was, don't know. I think about it. So then I said, it's shorts and a vest, boots. I'll let Susan know. And then he tried to rain on my parade and say, she's not going to push on me if that's what you're going after. If that's what you're after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And I said, you leave me no choice. I'm going to hit up the BSers.
Oh, you're gonna peer pressure me with listener power.
So I posted it on the forums. I posted it on Twitter.
Crap.
And now, I believe Mr. Laramie said we could do better. And I told him, I think he's giving us too much credit.
What did he want?
He just said, I think you can do better.
It's better than
Eric Farmer was probably the best comment on Twitter, which was something to the effect of, it's not even dressing up.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, Brett is literally like one millionth of a fraction of DNA away from being Walter.
What?
Yes.
All right. I don't threaten to shoot people at bowling alleys. I'll tell you that.
Oh, only on podcasts and at game tables. Totally different.
Well, yeah, because those are. We'll talk about this off the mic.
Brett could easily, all he's got to do is trim the beard just a little bit. He doesn't have to remove it. Doesn't have to remove it because
I don't
Walter
know.
has a beard.
I
He
don't
gets
know.
his hair every time Brett gets his hair newly cut. It gets a little flatter on top.
All right, we'll see.
It's really short on the sides.
Yeah, but I was gonna grow my hair out. Now I can't. Now you're trying
He's
to tell me I
probably
can't do
got.
it.
You do have a shooting vest, don't you? Don't lie to me.
Somewhere, yeah.
See, the only thing he doesn't have that I can't confirm is probably like khaki cargo shorts.
Yes, I do.
Look at that. See, and he's probably got Tim's. Probably got Timberlands. Some
yeah,
kind
I've
of
got
boots.
I've got boots. Yeah,
And then you have probably yellow freaking teardrop shooting glasses.
I do not have those because I don't like those.
I'll tell you what, I will buy those for you.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk about this later. Let's move on.
He's
Talk about
totally
something-
Walter, man. I'm telling you. He's got a foot on me.
Random encounter. Let's random encounter. Random encounter. How about we random encounter?
Random encounter.
This is getting
Jeez.
weird.
Getting weird. This guy. It's Halloween. It's not. I'm not asking you to go to work for a costume contest or something.
Probably
All
would
right.
go like that at work and shut people up.
True. Random encounter. This is where we read stuff about from listeners.
There you go. Laramie Wall on RPG character sheets to the greatest purveyors of BS. Good Lord. Whiskey down the wrong pipe. I don't know that this one even needs to be read on the cast. Too late, Laramie. It is mostly visual. Attached to my personal favorite character sheet from my current rule set, Hackmaster 5e. Well, the apparent antithesis of your ideal character sheet, as it is not simple. I found it valuable and efficient. There can be a vast number of modifiers to attack bonuses, defense bonuses, etc. The bottom row for these three areas allotted for different weapons are a nice worksheet to sum up the tally. All combat information is on the front of the sheet. The back is gear, wealth, social information, skills, talents, flaws, etc. While not simple, I feel like it's a lot into the real estate allotted with only one front and back page. It's also rare. It's also a rarity in that there doesn't seem to be many landscape-orientated sheets out there. Dungeon Crawl Classics does. Anyway, but I can't imagine this from working in a standard vertical format. I did not build this character sheet. It was by Thomas Ielis on the Kenzerco forum. What can I say? I like forums. Keep up the high quality BS. We do have a copy of that in our show notes. It's a pretty good looking. From a Hackmaster is a complicated system, so I think it makes sense to have this type of thing. It's kind of like a really good Pathfinder character sheet and so on, because there's so much in it. The more it can be a mechanical assistance to you, I think the better off you are. I think this is probably a damn good sheet for Hackmaster. I don't know. I've never played it, but I get that. I totally get that being a good one.
That's right. And that sheet's like 5 pages. Like the spells goes on for like 2 pages.
Yeah.
2 or 3 pages. Scott, on that discussion, Scott Murray on Facebook said, I hope Eoris is mentioned. Google it and prepare to cry.
What is that?
EORIS. We'll have a link in the show notes so that you do not have to look. You don't. Have to Google
that
it.
character sheet.
Have you seen it before, Brett?
Holy-
Have you seen that before?
No, I'm looking at it now.
It is pretty damn ridiculous.
Wow.
There's a blog entry that features it for the person that said something about that game that it's for,
Mhm.
and I don't think I've ever heard of it.
I've not heard of it either. Wow, that's pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
You know, another one that's actually fairly intimidating is Nephilim, if I remember my Nephilim character sheet. But interesting. All right, carry on. Next one's to you, sir.
All right, let me scroll back up. All right. Ian, or it could be Ian,
It's Ian.
because Ian Ziering from Beverly Hills 90210, me and a couple buddies ran into him in Colorado and said it's Ian.
Really?
His name is.
Huh.
So,
I was thinking
because we're like, hey, it's
was thinking
Ian
of the-
Ziering from Beverly Hills 90210. He says, it's Ian.
Oh,
He was kind of a dick.
wow. See, I always think of Scott Ian
Well,
from
I think
Anthrax, which is a much cooler dude.
a majority
Majority of people are not pretentious.
But that, well, no.
I'm kidding. Somebody out there's named that and I just insulted him. I'm sorry.
The person
Anyway.
with IAN writes in about cheaters.
Nice.
Hey, guys. Your hair looks great, Sean. Hey.
Oh.
Thanks, IAN.
Carry on.
Ian. I really got a kick out of this episode. I am much more in Sean's camp where I don't really care about cheating. If someone feels they need to cheat, then go ahead. But I may adjust difficulty or give a monster resistance to Phil's attacks specifically.
Mm-hmm.
My longtime group has an in and out player who we all like, but he's a bit socially awkward. He always plays a dragon-related character or begrudgingly an elf. All this guy wants to do is roll dice, do damage, and kill stuff. Okay. Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. So
We've all been. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've all been there. At least I know I've been there.
after years of this, I found myself just giving monsters extra hit points or half damage from his attacks. He would always hit. I never questioned his ridiculous numbers. This was in Thaco days, and his response, I hit AC negative huge.
Classic.
I'm gonna steal that.
I hit AC huge. I hit the biggest AC out there.
I hit AC huge.
Nice.
Yeah. I just did damage and let him feel happy while diminishing its effects on the game overall. Everyone knew it was BS. Hey-oh, but we had no reason to say anything because he was happy, and we basically just gave each monster 100 hit points just for him to whittle down.
Oh, here you go. It's like, oh, he likes chopping trees. Here's a log and a sharp axe. We'll be back later.
That's what friends are for.
Yeah, not bad.
We also have had an opposite instance where we had a player who was a terrible roller. This woman couldn't hit. This woman couldn't get above a 5 to save her life.
This woman is apparently Sean's die rolling twin.
Yeah, probably. It is. If it is a D20, I cannot roll D20s. And we paid attention to it because she was like a luck sink, and it was awful. So a bunch of us chipped in and bought her a set of dice where the 1 was replaced with a 20. Every low number was replaced by the high. It gave her slightly better odds. Only 3 people out of 8 didn't know. The DM at the time, the woman who found out quickly just went with it, and 1 player who was a bit rigid. Eventually, everyone found out because the rigid player was looking at her dice and said, "Hey, this thing has 2 20s." The point is that we play these games to have fun. If someone needs to cheat to do it, then I have no issue fencing off a section of the lawn for them to enjoy.
I think the main thing that you're getting at, which is the same thing I hear from Laramie, and we talked about this too, if I'm remembering our conversation correctly, is it hurting anybody else, right? Are they cheating insofar as they're wrecking fun for other people? No, it's kind of the cheat back, let it slide. We're here to have a good time, so on and so forth. When it's wrecking the game for others, then shit gets real, right? Very
Correct.
Cool. We got Kojo? Oh my God, he's back.
He is back.
Brett and Sean, it's Kojo. Hey guys, I'm calling about the Wayback Machine as I've been working through the back catalog when I wait for the new episodes to come out. I'm up to episode 89 and interpreting die rolls, so I want to go way back. I thought it was a great episode, and one thing that it made me think about is how I GM things when different die rolls come up relative to the check that somebody's trying to do. And what I found, I think, since I've been playing Fantasy Flight Star Wars and Dungeon Crawl Classics in recent years, that my style is becoming more narrative. I find that I do describe combat often in terms of, near misses or, big hits and things like that. And I'm always trying to say something to add to that narrative. Not only for the player that's rolling, but I think it helps the other players at the table to visualize and engage what's going on instead of just saying it's a hit, it's a miss. I like to say, well, you grazed his arm, not causing any damage, but he definitely is worried about you now as a target. So things like that. So it doesn't have a mechanical benefit, but it does definitely have a narrative benefit. In Dungeon Crawl Classic specifically, I do it because I don't like to disclose to players what difficulty number they're trying to roll against. And because DCC has the luck mechanic and players need to decide if they're going to spend points of luck to raise their roll, I try to let them know that they're close by giving a narrative that lets them know that they almost hit, but they didn't quite. Do you want to spend luck on this roll? And then they can make a decision. And I can say at the last minute, with the blow that seems like it was going to miss, luckily strikes the target after all. So I use it from that, but I also use it in other games that don't have it in the mechanic. So I've been implementing the same kind of thing with all of my games now. So great topic from the way back. Keep up the great work. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
That was cool, man. Thanks, Kojo. Glad.
Yeah.
Appreciate you digging through the old back catalog there. That's cool.
I thought at first I thought Kojo might have commented on that episode.
I don't think he
Which
did.
would be hilarious if somebody did that. Like, oh, I don't think I listened to this one.
Commentception.
They comment twice on the same episode.
That'd be hilarious, especially if they contradicted themselves.
Like,
all right.
Like it's like going through our episodes.
Yeah, it's totally like we do. All right, Abram Nothangle?
Nothnagel, maybe?
Nothnagel. Okay. Abram, if I butchered your last name, which I'm positive I did, I apologize.
Or no Nagle.
Whatever. I'm gonna stop because we're just gonna make it worse. I've got a horrible Polish last name, so I know the pain.
Like Scoozer.
Abram goes back to episode 115, Gods and RPGs. Brett and Sean, bit of a throwback, but I was just listening to episode 115, Gods and RPGs, and you had a listener mail come in about playing old characters in RPGs. As you were musing on the topic of why many players don't like to play older characters, it occurred to me that I myself almost never play them. One of my longest running characters was an ancient human in D&D. Why is that? I realized that is a problem with my suspension of disbelief. I'm normally a Dungeons & Dragons player, and in every game I've played, all the characters have been the same level, usually level 1, and falling off before level 10. Because of this, an 18-year-old wizard is just as strong, intelligent, experienced, and powerful as an 88-year-old wizard. To me, this changes my suspension of disbelief. What was my character doing all that time? Why aren't they any more skilled than some whippersnapper fresh out of the academy? And then why am I suddenly becoming so powerful as the game progresses? Why wasn't I gaining these skills earlier? I think it would be much easier for me to swallow if I started at a higher level. I could just write it off as the young party members being prodigies while my character had to work for their skills. But level 1 just doesn't work for me. In a similar vein, this is my problem with elves in D&D. A 400-year-old elf could be level 1 and be just as good as that some kid. What were they doing for 400 years? It completely pulls me out of the game and lessens my immersion drastically. What are your thoughts on this? Am I the weird one? Keep the BS coming. Abram.
Well, let's just start off by saying, Abram.
We're all weird.
We are all weird, or you are not weird.
No, I think your points are valid, and I think this is... It's interesting. I'd have to go back and re-listen to the episode, but it is, we've talked about this a little bit before, Sean, where there are certain things that are jarring to some people, immersion, suspension of disbelief and so forth. There's certain things that are more jarring to you than it is to me. And then maybe that bothers Abram more. Sometimes it's, hey, if I'm an 88-year-old wizard, what's my backstory? Why was I? And whatever. Why is that? What's the backstory that makes that such a thing? I don't know, but I don't think you're weird, Abram. I think your perspective is valid. And if someone were to say, hey, I want to do it, your questions that you asked out loud here to us and to the listeners, those are the questions I would ask the game masters. Hey, Abram, you, Sean, Eileen, we're going to play this game. We're all going to be this. And you said, okay, hang on a second here. I need to understand these things because otherwise it's really hard for me to grok this. And those are good questions that I think you could get answered decently and perhaps maybe able to swing you over to saying, okay, yeah, I'm down with that. I could totally do that thing. So I think those types of questions are valid. And if it's something that just doesn't do it for you, it's a good reason to stay away from it. Sean, you with me or what are you thinking?
My take would be that your 400-year-old elf or 80-year-old human in D&D hasn't done anything for 79 years.
Nothing.
Maybe it's he or she's, you know, I don't know, tending to the stables. So you could be a 10th level stable person.
Well, it's getting into the discussion, the point I made, though, what's the story?
Right.
I was a cloistered person. I stayed here and studied and studied and studied and studied. I did scrolls. I did a thing. And now it's time to go and do something else.
One would argue that they should have leveled up while they were studying scrolls.
Potentially. Who knows? But there's reasons behind it. And I think for a person like Abram, if we took that and helped to enhance the immersion, keep the disbelief on the proper level, it would be by providing game world mechanical answers that would add some level of logic to the situation. I think that would help.
Yeah, I mean, it may also be one of those things where you just have to kind of go,
I don't like this.
it's a weird thing, but so is the economy in D&D.
That's true. Yeah, sometimes you're like, you know what? I'm just going to swallow this as a conceit in the game, and I'll just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that potential's there too.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff, Abram. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks, Abram. But good point.
Very good point.
It never made sense to me either.
No, it's different.
Scott drops us a line on Dragonlance. I want to thank you for your podcast on Dragonlance. I read many of the books in middle school well before I ever played D&D. I too feel the same way about the books as y'all do. Going back and reading it again, I realized how badly they were written, but the characters I'm in love with. I've always felt that what makes Forgotten Realms a better setting to play in is that things are so big, and for the most part, the books didn't change the face of the planet, at least not before the 4th edition Cataclysm trilogy, so you could create your own adventures and your players could still feel important. Playing in the Dragonlance setting, the novels were so world-shaping that player characters could never feel so larger than life when creating your own adventures. I've been running an annotated DL1, which is the module number Dragonlance 1. Scenes include swamp log fight, wicker dragon, courtyard, ruin / onyx appearance, meeting Boopoo, and going down the pipe, meeting with High Fudge Bulp, confronting Onyx, escaping in the Cauldron elevator at conventions this year. PAX South, Gen Con, ReaperCon, and I have been filling tables with lots of nostalgic players. After each session, they leave with smiles across their faces as the memories of playing or reading the books as teens are fully flooded back to them. It's been so good, I've been slowly getting more permanent terrain to make each scene that much more special. I'm going to keep running it at cons until people stop signing up. Thanks. I really enjoy the podcast. Scott.
That's awesome, Scott. I think what you're doing there is awesome. If you're a person who loves running games at cons, pulling that type of thing, you can pull this nostalgia out and say, you know what? It may not be the best. It might be something, maybe not the best world, blah, blah, blah. But I love this. This was so much fun. And every time the people sit down, they're either in it for, oh, I remember and I want to have a good time with this, reawaken, oh my God, this was so cool. Or they want to experience it for the first time and say, wow, yeah, I could see, well, that was a good time. That was fun. And the fact that you're making permanent terrain and you're getting it even cooler and cooler, you're on that edge, Scott, of those kick-ass presentation adventures. That's just going to be awesome. So good work, man. That's very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see Pax Tharkus all out on the table, Scott.
That would be crazy cool.
Pictures, please.
Yeah. Nice. Very cool.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for writing in.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Let's get to the main topic.
You ready, Sean?
I think so.
All right. So, Sean and I have been talking about this type of thing off and on periodically through the last 4 years. Apparently, we've been doing this for 4 years. Sean posted up, holy crap.
5 years, Brett.
5 years?
5 years.
5 years? I thought it was 4. I can't do that.
Oh, this guy.
Forever, though. This is a long goddamn time.
Man, I'm telling you.
And we have received...
Thank you for keeping me going.
Wow, you're welcome.
I'm talking to the listeners.
Ah, damn it. I thought I had something. Anyway, every once in a while we have had some very touching and heartfelt comments to us, and we've made some amazing friends. That some we've never met, we only know through interactions in forums, G plus, and so on. Some we actually do get to meet at cons or other places. It's great. And sometimes we get asked some hard questions like, hey, what do you think about X? Or do you have a stance on this thing? And sometimes it's very tempting to say things like, it's just a game, for fuck's sake. How hard can this be? It's just a game. Why does everybody take this so seriously? And I leaned more towards that for a very long time until one of my friends, gamer with me now, I think I've mentioned this before, his PTSD from his time in the desert. And I have given him crap before because, hey, well, you did get blown up in the Bradley. Because that's what happened, right? It was not good. And part of it for him, gaming with us, doing the different things that he is able to do, and playing all these games and doing this stuff is therapy for him. This is fun. He has an incredibly good time, and it has helped him become more social, interacting with people, getting out of the house, doing lots of different things. And it helps him mentally stay focused, get over issues and whatnot. And it gives him this great opportunity to play out things in a make-believe world and setting. And it can be very, very impactful. Sean, have you had any gamers like that you've known or met over the years or even gamed with?
I haven't had anybody that I've known at the table that have had that or something similar.
Have you gamed with anybody with like autism or like a social disorder or depression or anything?
Yes, I have gamed with somebody that I think they have Asperger's.
Okay.
I think so. I think that's pretty known, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was brought up during a game, but that would probably be the extent of what I have. I say no because somebody could have something that I'm not aware of and still be at the table playing just fine.
Yep. And I think one of the cool things about this hobby is how it brings lots of people in from all different areas. And generally speaking, gamers are some pretty welcoming folks. The ones I meet, the ones I hang out with. If you want to play with us, well, sure, that's fine. I'm at a table, right? That's fine. I'm at a con. I'm running. That's great. When last time Joe Swick was in town, we were gaming. Wayne Humphrey was there, and his oldest daughter wanted to play with us. Sure, I've never played with her before. That was great. Had a good time. I'm not insinuating that anybody at the table has an issue of any kind. I'm saying is that we're like, oh, young girl, she wants to play with a bunch of us older guys. Sounds good. Sit down, play. We all had fun. Everybody had a hoot. It was a great time. And it's that welcoming vibe that a lot of people, sometimes I think we take it for granted in a way. And anyway, one of the things that kind of hit Sean and I recently was one of our listeners had written in anonymously and told us about a period of time in their life that it was really bad, a very, very dark time for them. They talked about self-harm. They talked about, not feeling the best, right? And this isn't the first time that Sean and I have had people say, hey, you've really helped in some way. And sometimes it's the goofiest thing where someone says to you, hey, listening to you two morons argue about something, laugh, read a review from somebody, talk to your listeners, have that back and forth, is this wonderful, cool little ray of sunshine, for lack of a better phrase, right? That can be helpful, and it makes people feel good. They're connected with a thing. They found something for whatever reason, and it helps them. And RPGs have this really crazy, bizarre power, in my opinion, that they can be very, very helpful. And because something can be very helpful, it can also be very hurtful if it's not handled correctly. You following me, Sean? Am I on track here?
I am following you.
Because, when you sent me that email, we were both like, whoa, that's pretty heavy, man.
It was very, very heavy. No question.
And one of the other, Sean and I have been on other podcasts, talked to lots of different folks, and there are certain things that are they're actually quite frankly, very freaking serious. We talked about this when we had Paige Lightman on the show. Some of the shit's very serious. When people are are being mean to each other at convention games, or rude, abrasive, not inviting. They're not being welcoming at all, using derogatory terms, all sorts of stuff. And we've said repeatedly, do what you want at your own table, right? There's no RPG cop who's going to bust in your house and say, Sean, I'm sorry, no more dick jokes at your game. It doesn't, you do what you want at your game, right? And we've said that for 5 years now. That's totally fine. I think we get that. But now that the hobby, not that just now, but is very popular. Lots of people are doing it. And as Paige helped us understand even more in depth when it comes to cons, and there's more and more and more people coming to the hobby that have questions about, why is this a thing? Why is this a trope? When you and I were on Appendix N with Jeff Goad and Hoy, one of the things that I know I talked about with them was you start to read some of the older stuff. There's some hardcore racist, arrogant, sexist, what we consider now horrible garbage from opinions and attitudes in some of those old books. Did yours have any of that, Sean? The one you read with them?
There was one reference, and I during the podcast did not. I didn't remember it.
Okay.
But Hoy and Jeff brought it up, and it was something to do with because it took place after Korean War, I think,
okay,
timeline wise. And so when they were talking about the world, they referred to Korea or Japan or China, one of those countries. It escapes my brain, but they used a derogatory term to reference the country or the people from the country or something along those lines.
Harsh.
And I mean, obviously it was bad, but I don't know if it was over. Yes, it was harsh. I don't want to sugarcoat it, but it was, I couldn't remember the exact reference, but when they brought it up, because I was like, they brought up the time, and if there was something, because they address this in every book that they read. If there was anything,
they always talk about, which I think absolutely, for the record, I think is a laudable thing. I think it's awesome to do that. Don't whitewash that shit. Talk about it.
Yeah, and they bring it up, and it was talked about, and I said, because they were like, Sean, do you remember anything that might have been like racist or be, set in its time that would be acceptable then, but not acceptable now, or something along those lines? And I go, no, I don't think so. And then they were like, well, and then they brought up this instance, and I went, now it made me look like I was a racist, because I'm like, I don't remember anything that wasn't racist that I wouldn't think of, you know what I'm saying?
Well, sometimes what's interesting is like, so this leads me to actually Jeff wrote us, and he was talking about H.P. Lovecraft. So I'm going to grab onto this here, and I'm going to read it out. So Jeff says, hey, longtime listener, first time writer. And Jeff has, believe it or not, listened to us for quite some time. He's an awesome dude. And he says, I have a ton of respect for you both. I'm writing to get your opinion on something I'm hearing a lot of disagreement on in my social media circles. The issue is separating the art from the artist. A lot of controversial figures in the hobby, so I can guarantee that some people think I'm talking about person A and some will think I'm talking about person B. But honestly, that just makes the conversation more vital and important. For me, says Jeff, I'm a huge believer in free speech and the right to offend. I also believe that people have the right to express themselves when they are offended. Free speech has consequences. If someone says something that offends you, then the way they choose to respond can say a lot about that person. A common response can be, why don't we just leave politics out of this? In my experience, the people saying that the loudest are the ones that aren't a part of the groups being negatively impacted. On the Appendix N book club, they're reading H.P. Lovecraft, and he was a terrible racist, even for his time. But on our show, we discuss how uncomfortable and upsetting reading his racist descriptions of black characters can feel to a modern reader. If we discuss his work without discussing his racism, then we're giving his racism pass. I am not comfortable with that. So Jeff's question to us is, what would you do if you found out that someone who designed a gaming product you really liked has a history of doing, expressing, supporting, or providing a platform for something you find offensive? So I think the cool part about this comment with Jeff is that Sean and I have talked about this before, especially, so I want to talk about H.P. Lovecraft first. And Sean's getting into Cthulhu, and I've just finished reading, I cranked through the Delta Green books, dude, both of the two new ones. Took me like a day and a half, just busted through them.
That's crazy. I only do it on the crapper, so it took me a little longer.
Yeah, I read outside of that room, so.
Oh, that's weird. You can do that?
And it's really cool to me, like especially reading like the Delta Green stuff, which I just went through, how they take pains to have non-white people, non-white males represented all over the place. You got African Americans, you have Asian Americans, you've got Filipinos, you've got this. All sorts of different people, different nationalities and stuff are represented within this alternate history. And we've said this before, like Lovecraft was a racist. I mean, really, really bad. I remember there is the horror at Red Hook, that particular story. There is I believe it was his wife, maybe his ex-wife. I can't remember if they ended up divorced, but she talked about how while they were in New York City, Howard was on the street with her and he would start shaking and get visibly angry and annoyed at all of these mixed races of people. There were too many non-whites. He couldn't take it. It made him angry. He was a xenophobic, racist prick. If you read Rats in the Walls, the cat in that book is named N-word man. It is not nice, right? And I think sometimes it's very easy to say, well, that was then, it was the time. But what's, I think, cool about the way the gaming hobby has addressed Lovecraft is that you have like Harlem Unbound, which I think is wonderful. You've got Harlem in the Lovecraftian world, which is basically this wonderful middle finger to Howard, which just makes me giggle. And it reminds me of a story. I don't know the truth of it, but there was supposedly in Madison, Wisconsin, the dorms down Lakeside dorms. There was a dorm down there. I want to say it was Chadbourne or something. I can't remember. The story I heard while I was in college was that the gentleman who, when he died, he left the school and said, I want you to build a dorm, but it has to be for boys because I don't believe girls should be in college. So the story was that UW chancellor and stuff, yes, Harumph and such, he died and they turned it into an all-girls dorm. I don't know if that was true, but I love the thumb in the eye to this stupid idiot. And I think one of the things that you should look at, and this is what I'm talking about, new gamers come in and they say, oh, Lovecraft, oh, wow, this Cthulhu mythos sounds really good. And someone says, yeah, you should read these. And you start reading them. If you read Robert E. Howard, the Conan stuff, he is not very flattering to non-white people. Not very flattering to women in general. And if you tell people, oh yeah, this is based on this book, this is based on this person's stuff, if you don't talk about it and you don't explain it, that new gamer, the person who's wondering what all this Lovecraftian horror is about, goes, so all of this? Right? I mean, Sean, you see what I'm saying? Where if you ask somebody, hey, I really like this Cthulhu thing you're talking about, Sean, how would I get more info? Oh, go read these 5 books. And if the person has no idea what they're getting into, that could be kind of shocking culturally if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, I haven't read a whole ton of Lovecraft. I'm not somebody that had to race to the library and go, oh, Lovecraft, horror. You know, if I need to get into horror, you got to read Lovecraft. I wasn't a big fan of horror and Poe, and I mean, Poe in moderation, but I was never deep into that side of things. And even with Howard, I wasn't Conan, or King Solomon or Solomon Kane.
Solomon Kane, swordsman against sorcerer. Yeah. Yes.
None of that was really something that I wanted to go and read. And I know that folks had told me that Lovecraft was a racist. And I don't know. I guess maybe I didn't think of, and I'm putting a degree on level of racist, right? But when Brett was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, if you read some of the books, it says this in there and that in there. And I'm like, oh really? Which
it's like,
I don't know why.
Like,
I don't know.
I said it to you on the mic.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
and I cringe.
You're like, ugh.
And it's just, it's strange. It's like having that one relative that's just like, what do you say? Like, what are you doing? The old relative that says inappropriate things at like the turkey Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Like
table.
Almost whenever they feel like it, like Jesus
whenever
Christ.
they feel like it, because that's just their thing. And that's the way they're raised. And I don't even know if some of them know what they're actually saying.
Yeah. Some of them they're just spewing stuff.
Right. Yes. But anyways, so my point is that I don't know why I would go, oh, it's kind of acceptable to kind of go, well, I'm going to play Call of Cthulhu and it's based on Lovecraft and I know he was a racist, but why am I so shocked when Brett tells me what's actually in a book? Like, did I not think, you know what I actually thought, Brett, was that he was a racist, but didn't portray that in the writings.
Oh, no.
Although I know that the timing of the writings, which were in the 20s and early, 19th century, 20th century, that obviously there would be baggage that would come with writing something at that time.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool parts that gaming has done, I believe, when I look at what I think Chaosium has done a fairly decent job, and things like Harlem Unbound and other Arc Dream Publishing and so forth. And I'm sure somebody out there is screaming right now saying, no, they've done a terrible job. I don't know, right? I'm a middle class white guy. I look at this stuff and I'm like, okay, they are looking at that saying, Nick Cave. So I can't find the damn quote. Nick Cave. I don't know if anybody knows who Nick Cave is. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Singer, songwriter, performance artist kind of guy. Someone wrote him and was asking about, what was it, from the Smiths? Who was the Morrissey? I think it was Morrissey.
Yeah.
Morrissey apparently has turned into a complete dick. I don't know what he's done recently, but he said some horrible things. And somebody wrote to him, to Nick Cave that is, and said, basically, Nick, it's traumatic to me because all this music, all this art that this person created, before I ever knew this about them, had so much meaning to me and helped me out, because how touching music is and so forth. And like, wow, this, what do I have to hate all this stuff now? And Nick's answer was, I have to paraphrase here because I don't have it. I'm going to try to find it, throw it in the show notes. But Nick said basically, once you create a thing and it's out there, that's no longer that person's, it's the art. The art is out there. It's the thing. What he also talked about, if I'm remembering correctly, and where I would add into that is, that's fine. The art is out there. However, once you learn a thing about a person, you kind of stop supporting them if that's something you don't agree with, right? You feel like, I really like this thing that Brett did, but it turns out I found out he's a hunter. I really hate hunting, so I'm going to have to not support him anymore. Okay, that's a thing you don't like, and you feel that by supporting me means that you'd be supporting his thing and that you're morally obligated to hate. That's fine, right? You don't have to do that. And I think it's when Jeff asked us, like separating the art from the artist, it is tough. I think it is easier in the case of a guy like H.P. Lovecraft because he's fucking dead, right? He's dead and gone. It has been gone for a very, very long time. I am certain that there are people out there playing 20s Call of Cthulhu in their home group, and they're dropping racial slurs, horrible words, right? And that's how they game. I can't stop them, right? Just like there's people out there who vote a way I don't agree with. I can't stop them. However, I think I can look at the mythos and the things that have been done with it, and the way the art has been turned into something that is no longer that person's originally. What Lovecraft created, how he did it, the thing he made, the mythos, the Cthulhu, all those cycles, how he teamed up with Robert E. Howard and Clark Ashton Smith, and they made this thing. I think the art has become beyond them. And that's due to time. Does that make sense, Sean? Does that help?
Well, I think it has to do with time and the times we live in more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, look back at it.
There's a lot of people that could be that way and die, and nobody would know. Everybody in the immediate circles would probably know about that person's particular background experience.
Yep.
Racial, bigotry, whatever. But what if they create something and you only know it from buying the book, and there's no social media, the newspaper doesn't publish that, it's not on the front page every day, then it's very easy to just kind of accept it as, oh, it's a great book and it's awesome and that's it, and it's written by this Joe Schmo. Great. The perfect example is Orson Scott Card.
Yeah, he's another example
of Ender's Game. So there were a ton of people that I knew that are Brett and I's age and maybe a little younger that read Ender's Game. I never read the book.
Me either.
But they loved the book. And then they found out that he was opposed to same-sex marriage and, had certain particular views on homosexuality and politics and things of that nature. And so when they made the movie, all this basically got plastered everywhere. And there was a boycott and all that about going to see that movie. And then, of course, everybody else that appreciated or thought they had appreciated the book when they read
art,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the art. Now the artist comes to light that they don't share the same views as the artist. Now they're kind of at a crossroads. Well, do I see the movie or don't I?
Mm-hmm. It's tricky, man.
And I don't know. I don't know and I don't know if there is an answer. There are people that will listen to this and say, "Oh, absolutely, you don't do that. You don't support it. He's still alive. He's going to gain revenue from you frequenting that movie."
Yeah, where you say, "Hey, Lovecraft's dead. His work, he basically died in obscurity. If it weren't for, what's his name on a sock, Wisconsin, kind of revived it. I can't remember his fucking name. Damn it, I'm losing my mind. But anyway, a group of people revive his works. They didn't revive it saying, "Oh, thank God, we have to get this racist back in light." They're like, "No, look at the themes and the stuff in it." And it's like, that is an unfortunate component, but look at the rest of it is amazing. It's this piece we could have done without. But he's dead, right? So if you do something, it's not like this nasty old New England racist is getting $5 for every book sold.
Right. I also have seen where people have addressed just that, where they will say, "No, as long as he's alive, I'm not going to buy anything that person creates or is a derivative where they're going to benefit from some work that they've created. But after they're dead, it's fair game." Which I guess I understand it to some degree, but I don't, somehow it seems very loophole.
Yeah, it's like, I want to do this thing, but I'm going to make a public statement that I'm not.
Well, yeah,
it's like you're finding a way. You're finding a way to have a computer on your Amish farm.
Yeah,
right?
It's here. I'm on my soapbox, knowing that when the person dies, that I can step down from my soapbox and get what I probably wanted originally anyway.
Yeah.
Which is, and I'm not saying anything is good or bad. I'm not passing judgment.
It's
I don't
tough.
know.
And this is why I wanted to bring this up, because it's kind of, why so serious, right? Why are these things so serious? How come this, that, and the other thing? And how come we can't ignore? How come we can't whatever? I honestly think that you take a look at certain things. There have been people within the gaming industry or hobby space that I've learned about and went, "Oh, this stuff is really cool." And then I find out more about the person and I realize, wow, that person seems to be kind of a douchebag. This person seems mean. I met this person. They were mean, obnoxious. I'm not a fan of that person anymore. And it sours me on their art. I have a hard time promoting the art of somebody that I find offensive on, enough that it bothers me, right? I go, this thing this person is about, I feel so strongly about, right? If someone said, "Hey, I don't believe in same-sex marriage, all gay people are going to hell," that would bother me. If someone had that as a plank to their life and a thing that they were going to do and that they're just going to hammer on, I'd be like, whoa, hang on a second here, right?
Well,
that's not...
somebody may say, somebody may voice, "Okay, Brett, but what if so I'm being devil's advocate.
No, go ahead.
But what if they said, "Well, that's their opinion and they can do that." It's like that's their opinion, man.
Yeah. And that's where, like Jeff said, it's free speech. Yeah, you can do that. The fallout is that I am not supporting that. If someone says, "Hey, Brett, why aren't you supporting it? I don't agree with this thing." And then if you want to continue to argue with me about it, you're picking a fight because you've asked me, "Why aren't you supporting this person?" I could say, "Well, one of my daughters is bisexual. You're telling me right now, and I know this about this person, that they think anybody who is going to hell and they're damned and they're a sin and a blot on this nation. I have a hard time supporting anything that this person produces." "Yeah, but that's their opinion. The art is still good." You can do that. I personally, from where I stand morally and ethically, I cannot.
Well, I don't think and I agree, for the record, I agree. But
Mhm.
also, one could say, well, they don't donate that money to a hatred cause.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
I
so
can
what,
say, hey, that's my well-being.
So what strikes me as interesting in this?
So I don't have a right to hold on, Brett. I don't have a right to live. Like I don't have a right to earn a living.
So here's the fun thing is that there's degrees of fight you can put on anything. My
Sure.
stance is if you say, how come you don't? I explain it to you. If you're going to try to convince me that I am wrong or that I should still support this thing, I'd be like, I don't need to.
Well, I agree.
I'm not telling anybody to go out and shoot them in the head.
No.
I'm not saying they should never be able to work in anywhere ever again.
Well, some people would.
Some people do. Some people take
people are
very, very strong moral
Yeah,
stances, and
yes.
they're like, you should never do anything they do. They should never be allowed to work again. They
Right.
shouldn't be allowed to show their face in public without being mocked soundly. Some people on all sides are very, very extreme.
Yes.
And I think what this all comes down to when I talk about how serious this is, let off with the first stories about my buddy and this person who wrote into us, and Sean and I've had these other very touching things that people have said to us over time, is you don't know who you're going to bump into. If you're doing something at a con, right? If you're at your home group, we've said this before, I'll say it again until I'm dead. You do whatever the fuck you want. No one's there. It's you and your friends doing whatever it is you do. You're all consenting adults, do your thing, right? Now, if you're in a public place, like a gaming convention, and you start espousing, well, the only way to properly play Lovecraft is to bam, 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 bam. Guess what? You're an ass, right? Well, I'm going to write this adventure, and I won't let anyone play a woman because I don't believe women should ever be adventurers because they have boobs, and that's just wrong. Whoa, dude, really? You just said that? I'm sorry, yeah, but you can't do that because this ethnic group can't do that, or this gender group can't do that. You're in a public place running a public game. No, just fucking no. Have some decency, right? You can't do that. You can keep all the politics out of your games you want other places, but when you're in a public area, you don't get that choice at a con. Right? You don't get to go through and say, okay, is everyone here a Democrat? Okay, good. Oh, no Republicans. I'm sorry. Because we're only going to talk. Oh, were you Democrats? Did you vote for Hillary or did you vote for, oh, I'm sorry, only Hillary people at this table. We don't do that. Right? Think of how stupid that is.
Blue eyes, brown eyes, Brett. Let's take it back. Blue eyes, brown eyes.
You can't do that. Right? You cannot do that.
Well, I'm blue eyes, man. I'm good.
No, I'm gray eyes. So I'm fucked.
Well, yeah.
Unless I could say they're bluish.
No, we won't accept you.
So I think, Jeff, to answer your question directly, what do I do if I find out someone's designing a product, his history of doing, expressing, supporting, providing a platform I find offensive? I personally stop supporting that person. I stop supporting them. That's Brett's personal. I tend to, because I look at it and go, was I supporting them? If the answer is yes, I look at it and go, Christ, I have learned things. And these things I've learned are bothering me personally, morally, ethically. I can't do this anymore because I can't live with myself if I do this.
So
Done.
what if I support him, Brett?
If you support him, I'll be like, interesting.
Right. So what do you?
I may say, why you support him?
Because, man, it's good. It's good product, man. It's good product.
Okay.
It's great product, man. I love the product.
But you
It's
don't
good-
care about
good
how
book.
this person's perspective. You don't care about this thing.
You
It
know,
doesn't.
I'm just all about the book, man. It's my book. I want to buy that book. I want to run that game.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, now see, there's a lot of people that would be like, I'm part of the problem.
Yes.
By doing that, I'm a part of the problem. I am
Correct.
exacerbating the issue.
And
I'm
this is
allowing
where-
that person.
Yep. This is the free speech thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that you're telling me this is your thing. I'm reacting to you. You are reacting to me.
Yeah.
Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
It
But
can
Brett, you shouldn't even be on this podcast with me.
Yeah, I know.
That's Brett. I would bounce. Like I would boot scoot. Like, hey, I would kick that guy to the curb.
Yeah. No, no, you're dead right. Yeah. Things
He's got to go.
He's got to go. Got to get rid of him.
He's
Can't
got to
do this.
go.
Can't do that.
He's got to go. You can't have him on the show anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that, Brett.
Yeah. It's,
And guess what, Brett? Guess what, Brett?
what's that, Sean?
If you allow him to stay on the show, that's a problem. That's a problem. I'm leaving. Then I'm not going to be a BSer anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're not kicking Sean off the show. And he's supporting somebody
That I don't like.
that he shouldn't be supporting because of the cause that person supports.
It's messy, man.
And Brett, you're the problem.
I know.
So your little, hey, I'm not gonna buy their stuff. It's not good enough. Because Sean did, and you're buddies with Sean.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
Well, that's the blah.
It happens.
You better step up, Brett.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah. See?
So the problem, people, is if I kick Sean off the show, I don't know how to put the show on the air, so it's not gonna work. Sean's got me. He's got me tied down.
Hey, if the show's got to go poof,
it goes poof.
It goes poof because they had, an asshole person on there that supported racist, homophobe, whatever. Name insert very
Problem
bad, very bad problem here.
I think the main thing though is that, you know what, it is very serious. It's very serious to a number of people, and one of the points that Jeff makes is that if you are or connected to a group that is being harmed by something, right, you're going to have a different reaction than I will.
You can get personal.
Can get very personal.
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
For those of us outside of that, are like, middle-aged white guy, very little is at me.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, so little
it's
is
hard
that.
for us to go.
Yeah,
I don't understand the problem.
Which is where I think one of the reasons I think you and I get along really well is because we look at that stuff, we understand this is where we are. We're two middle-aged white guys. We're wow, that's fucked up. It doesn't affect us. No, because where I sit, I don't have that problem.
Right.
I am not going I'm not going to deny the fact that you are having this problem. You're having, like, when we had Paige on, when Paige talked about all the different pieces, I'm like, holy fuck. When you see these reports of people at cons, women getting grabbed in the ass, men getting groped in the crotch, these horrible, stupid ass things happening at cons, you're like, wow, I don't disbelieve that it's happening.
Right.
I am very fortunate it doesn't happen to us.
Yes, we personally have not had that inflicted upon us.
No.
Yeah. Or at least I can say not me.
Yeah.
Maybe Brett.
No. I haven't.
Right.
I would have kicked people out of my con, but that's different.
Yeah.
But anyway, gaming can be very, very serious because you're talking about people getting together and doing things. You're buying products. You're talking about, and it's a hobby.
Yeah.
Right. I'm doing this thing and I work for this company.
Right.
It's I'm doing this thing and I stay at home and I do nothing else but just design games. I'm doing this thing and I'm an outspoken libertarian, Republican, Democrat, third party, grassroots, whatever. A lot of stuff gets tied in and people know all this stuff and people make different decisions and so on. And it's not a matter of, well, you do your thing, I do my thing. It can get very, very personal, right? And people can get very offended and very upset. And I think it's worth looking at something. And again, I'll go back to H.P. Lovecraft and say, have you answered why that old New England racist doesn't bother you, right? If you're like, you know what? I don't even think about it because it doesn't enter my games and this is blah, blah, blah. Somebody may say, that's not good enough, sir and or madam. You should have a different whatever. Again, at the end of the day, when you walk away from the social media platform, you have to be able to look in the mirror and say, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing what I think is right? If you can look in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm doing what I feel is right and I'm reacting in what I feel is the proper way, I think that's all right. I don't know what else to say about that.
Well, I could open a whole nother box.
Of course you could.
I could literally ask, do you think politics is in gaming?
Do I think politics is in gaming?
Yeah. Do you think gaming is political? That it involves politics?
You can.
Now, I know people that would say it does. Like, not it can, it does.
What's interesting when anything about politics comes in is I know people who actively avoid politics at all aspects of their lives.
Well, so in the argument
Mhm.
where RPGs have politics, isn't the politics that I would say are argued on a Thursday night in the primary
Presidential
elections,
debate, yeah.
right, in the presidential debate. What they are saying is that if you allow violence in your game or you do not allow violence in your game, that is a political choice. That is that's the that would be some of the folks that would say that there are politics in role-playing games. Now, there are people that say, no, I keep politics out of our games. Like, I don't talk about how they would define politics. I don't do that. That's why it's nice that I can just go to a table and play.
Yeah, it's interesting when you take a term and say that is political or what is politics, right? That
Right.
discussion, I mean, that's a whole different show for a different time, and I don't really care to get into it right now, but
What? We got plenty of time.
Sure we do. We gotta go at some
But
point.
what I wanted to touch that a little bit because there are folks that are very like, hey man, all I want to do is game. And
Yep.
I would be one of those, right? I'd be like, hey man, all I want to do is game. Like, I just want to sit down, have a good time, roll up a character. But there are others that say, well, you can't not address politics in gaming because everything that is involved in a game, maybe some may even say just even a social environment, is political.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if I necessarily agree on how that's defined, but the violence, the nonviolence, the killing of
different stereotypes, different
innocence,
approaches,
whatever,
all sorts of
right,
stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's where that kind of comes into play. And so it's just an interesting, I've seen online come to fruition, and some folks that have taken part in those discussions is interesting.
Yeah. I guess the thing I wanted to throw out there, I mean, all things considered, the first stories we talked about, this note from Jeff and us debating this, is that gaming is serious, right? And there's it's how serious do you want to make it? You can say, look, I don't care about any of that. It is me and my 5 best friends. We get together every week and we play Dungeon Crawl Classics. We get together every week and we play Star Frontiers. Every week and we play Dungeon World. Every week and we play Amber. And we just play. We're friends and this is what we do. We're having a good time. Why does anybody care what I'm doing? Generally speaking, I don't believe anybody actually cares what you are personally, privately doing. I don't know. Maybe somebody somewhere cares, I'm sure, at your game table. Maybe. But at the end of the day, there's no RPG cops, man.
Well, that's the problem, Brett.
There's no RPG cops.
We need some RPG cops. So if you are interested in becoming an RPG cop, we're going to start here, and we're going to get maybe a committee together.
Yeah,
we'll
you
put
can
some rules into place.
Yeah, dress them to the nearest brick wall.
And, we'll do some screening, maybe an application process. Might have a little experience behind that. And we'll see if we can get some RPG cops out into the world because, there's some shit that needs to be policed. That's all I have to say.
Nice. Anyway, I
think what are we going to title this episode? Why So Serious?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right title, but
call it whatever you want.
Why So Serious?
It just reminds me of the Joker.
Yeah. Why So Serious? Joker coming out in October.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That movie does not interest me at all. Like, I don't need it. There's been like 82 origin stories for that guy. It's like other superhero origin stories. Supervillain ones, kind of bored with it. Anyway, this is one of those pieces, I think it's very serious to some people. Certain aspects of this are like hardcore, crazy levels to some people. And other people are like, how do you not feel this way? And someone's going to say, well, I'm hardcore over here. And someone goes, no, that's crazy. This is crazy. So on and so forth. I think there's a level of respect that people need to have for each other. And I think that the BSers that we've met, we've interacted with, I have yet to meet any of those men and women that we've not been able to have decent conversations with, talk about different things, have good one-on-ones, good back and forth, great games. People have a lot of fun at cons, talking about the cool games they're running, asking about how they can make sure that when they're running a game at a convention, how do I make it very welcoming so anybody can show up and they can play and have a good time. I think we stick to those things and you're going to be fine. You can make something as politically heavy as you want, or you can try to dodge it, or you can make it as light as you'd like. But remember, this is the age we live in with social media, and we can talk about this stuff. I sound like a 100-year-old man here. It's social media, damn kids. But it's free speech, and people can argue with you. Someone will be offended by you. You can be offended by their offense. You can have this bizarre spiral down. But it can be very, very serious. And sometimes not just that. Again, I'll go back to the other stories I led with. A buddy, this helps him from a therapeutic perspective, engaging with the world, engaging with people. It's helping him with his PTSD. It helps him get involved with stuff. Another person contacted us. We've had similar things where they say, hey, I was going through a dark time, and this gaming thing and the fact that you two knuckleheads were talking about something cool made me laugh. I had a really good time. I connected. That wasn't the reason, but every little bit helps. And I think I'd like to kind of wrap, Sean, by saying those two things are the reasons why we should be careful when we're meeting new people and we're working at cons and we're doing something like this. And sometimes Sean and I get some shit like, oh, you guys aren't hard enough on a certain thing. I don't want to hurt. I don't know who's listening sometimes. And sometimes that person is listening to us and saying, hey, you know what? That thing, that topic those two knuckleheads, man, that's the highlight of my week. My job sucks. My husband's mad at me. My kids are being dicks this week. However, come Wednesday, a Gaming BS episode dropped, and that made the rest of the work week go better. We've heard that from people, which I still think is phenomenal. I think our goal here is to have fun, make sure people are entertained, hand out some gaming wisdom. And the reason we try to take that type of thing seriously is because we can help people. Sometimes you never know who you might help, and it doesn't hurt you to be nice and welcoming and friendly to people. I think that's important. Fair, Sean?
Unless your name is Jeff and he pisses you off at the gaming table, you can throw a D20 straight at his forehead.
Well, that's a different problem, but yeah, of course. Anyway, I think we got enough. We good, Sean?
Yeah.
All right,
let's get to die roll.
Die roll this up.
All right. Die roll. So we'll put it in the Eros player character sheet in the die roll. First one, starting off, Harper's Tale, an adventure path for D&D 5e, which is on Indiegogo and ends in and around October 5th, 2019. I will read this out loud from the Indiegogo. Harper's Tale is an epic story of sacrifice, perseverance, and redemption. The heroes will investigate, battle, and learn the true origins of the threat to their home. The adventure is based on an outline my daughter, Harper, and I wrote after coming home from the hospital after her first round of chemotherapy treatment for leukemia. All net proceeds from the crowdfunding campaign will be donated to benefit Friends of Kids with Cancer to help others like Harper who are battling cancer. So if you are not overly interested in the actual tale, but want to throw them a few chuckles at a good cause, please check it out. That's all I have to say about that. And the next one, Consent in Gaming by Monty Cook Games. You can get that free on their website. It's written by Sean K. Reynolds and Shauna Germain. Just take a look at it. And in addition to that, if you want to know more about it before even downloading it, you can read the review of that free product by Jared Rasher. And he posts his review on Gnome Stew. So thanks for doing that, Jared. And if that's not your thing, Well, that's fine. And if you don't know what it is, we got a link in the show notes so you can click on it and check it out. Otherwise, that wraps up episode 261. Gaming and BS, except for the fact that we don't know what we're talking about next week, Brett.
Yeah, I do. It's a suboptimal play right there.
Suboptimal play.
Yeah.
Is that like...
Would you like a little background on
I
that?
would like to know what that means.
So if somebody is interested in doing a little bit more digging, you go to Matt Colville and is running the game, episode 56. Episode 56, running the game video on YouTube. Matt Colville. Check that out, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Suboptimal. Does that mean when you are not an optimized player character?
This is why I gave Sean homework just now.
Oh, God. Whatever. Why can't you just tell me, Brett?
Because it's no fun if I tell you.
Fine. Thanks for tuning in, yo. We appreciate it. If you're you want to interact with us and the rest of the BS crew, head over to forums.gamingandbs.com. There's great discussion over there. We've got plenty of compliments on the platform and what people are posting on there. We could certainly use additional interaction for sure. But otherwise, I think that's it, man. Anything else? Any closing comments from you, Brett?
No, man, I think we're good. I'm really looking forward to Game Hole. We've got some from the different BSers have been talking about showing up. Games are being run. People that we just know who are going to be there. Game Hole kind of is like some of the only time of the year we see certain people. Like, Jason's coming from Minnesota. Fucking hey, haven't seen him since then. Hey, haven't seen this person, so on and so forth. There's lots of folks we don't see except at conventions. And this is our local and our favorite. So it's always great when people are there. So looking forward to seeing people. And it's in a month away, but I'm still getting hyped up.
Tomb of Horrors is going to be one-dimensional.
One-dimensional. You can't pull it off?
Nope.
Damn.
The guy that was my buddy Josh, who was going to print up the dungeons, run into too many snags. He says he doesn't think he's going to be able to get it done in time. So Sean, being adaptive and flexible, will have the dungeon printed out on, probably have to write it out on gaming paper. Got plenty of gaming paper, so.
Your event doesn't say 3D, does it?
I don't think it does. I think it was just Tomb of Horrors. And if it does, I'll email everybody and let them know. And if they want to bail, that's cool.
Okay. It's still going to be fun, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll be a blast.
Of course it will.
And the dude will be running it.
It's a Sean game. Sean's
Actually,
a good gamer.
the dude won't be running it. The dude will be running, I think, the LARP when he's the dude. That may even be more awesome.
That might be more awesome.
All right. Well, we better get everybody going here. Thanks for listening. I'm Sean.
I'm Brett. Good night and good game and all.
This episode of Gaming and BS brought to you with the help from the following BSers: Graham Minert, Corey Wynn, Hawk Sparrow, Larry Hout, Mark Tasaka, Pure Mongrel, Chris Steele, Ron Bishop, Thomas Hook, Wayne Humphrey, Craig, Laramie Wall, Dan LaValle, Jason Hobbs, Sky, Roger Braslett, John Hammersley, Old School DM, Perry Besor, Michael Dinos, Jim Fitzpatrick, Christopher Gray, Bruce Cunnington, John Kayward, Corey Gonzalez, Eileen Barnes, Robert Nemeth, Niall Diamond, Harrigan, Howard Bishop, Stefan Dragonspawn, Mark Anthony Benedetti, Eric Salzweedel, Trevor Davis, The Closet Gamer, Jeff Goad, Aaron Coleman, Ray Otis, C.W. Mellencamp, Craig Huber, Rich Wishon, Old Scoozer Roleplaying, Jared Rasher, Andy Hall, David Balog, Chad Gleeman, Finolf, Mirko Froelich, Lord Tentacle, Joe Swick, Curtis Takahashi, Josh Wallace, Kevin Lovecraft, Andy Olson, Tony Sugarloaf Baker, Jeff Seifert, and Aaron Ralia. For ways to support the show, head over to gamingandbs.com/support-us. Thanks, BSers. This has been a Litterbox Studio production.